Hey, folks, Chad Glass and Jennifer Bell here with Dr. Bob D. And we are the dentists in the know. This is dentistry in general over here on the other side of the table. But today, we're all at the Chicago Midwinter, and we just wanted to have a conversation with Bob, and we're going to discuss a lot of things. So, Bob,
can start with just commiserating about running a Facebook group for dentists.
oh, let's say that for that. Yeah.
Having to be referees all the time.
Yeah. So that is true. Having to be referees all the time.
For sure.
And the questions that we get from members on asking how we can handle this. So anyhow, Bob, it's an honor to have you here, and we're glad that you're here. Before we get into anything, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for having me. It's my honor. It's an honor to be here. About me, I graduated in 92 from Loyola here in Chicago. I'm originally from San Francisco. Came here to go to school. Got married to someone from here. That's 32 years later.
Yeah.
I'm here. I still call San Francisco home, where my wife makes fun of me that, no, you're from Chicago.
Yeah.
You're here. In the middle of the pandemic, I felt like I was losing my business. And I started a Facebook group for 50 of my friends around the Chicago area so we can get together and buy N95 masks. I didn't realize it was a global shortage. And then I realized there were a lot of groups that there was a lot of controversy. There were a lot of different people as far as team members and salespeople. I just became very strict in allowing only dentists to come in. And we are now at around 9,000 dentists. And the mission is basically support, educate, and advocate. That's my mantra for my group. And every day I have to remember that, because you guys know how it is in the Facebook group. Sometimes that support part, we don't support each other. Right. And that is the most important part of it, because, some of us can be a little mean online to each other. And that's what I'm trying to prevent, and actually educate on the fact that we need to be supportive. And now we have branched into 3 different divisions, actually 4. One is the nonprofit Dentistry in General Advocacy Coalition, a think tank that we try to help organize dentistry be better and do better. And then we have the Facebook group and the YouTube channel and the Digapalooza, which is my live event every year in November. And we have the newly formed the radio network that I want to have podcasters, and hopefully you guys will be guest podcasters there in the future. So that's basically a 2-minute history of how I become to hang out with dentists.
And practice.
How many are you practicing now?
I am practicing. I went down to 3 last year.
Okay.
Because I was doing a lot of traveling. So I travel Thursdays, go to the meetings, and then come back Sunday night, go back to work on Monday morning, Tuesday, and a Wednesday. So I hired my second associate, trying to slow down a little bit more. If I can work Tuesdays and Wednesdays, so I can recoup on Mondays from the travel. You know how that goes. But, I make jokes about this, that if it was prison, I'd be paroled. I got 32 years.
Yeah.
So I paid my dues, so that people can't, criticize me that you're just a loudmouth on social media. No, I paid my dues. My fingers hurt. You know how that goes.
This is something that is going to be somewhat off topic, but I think it's pertinent, and I want to ask this before we get into some other things we're going to talk about. But you mentioned you hired an associate. Is that associate working full time?
No. I have 2 associates, and each one works 2 days. They both have young children.
Okay.
And that's how we've worked it out.
Perfect. So now, were these your first 2 associates that you hired?
Yes.
Okay. I'm in the same boat, so I'm asking, and I believe that you used Dentist Job Connect to find them, correct? So let's give Paul a little plug. Talk about how that worked for you, if that's okay.
I never thought I needed an associate. This is actually really important. I know we want to talk a little about dental politics and my history, but this is important education for dentists. Because I believe our future are these young dentists. And if we don't know how to treat these young dentists, we're doomed, because they're going to cling to what my friend Dr. Spencer Bloom, my podcast partner, refers to as big business of dentistry. They're going to go elsewhere. So Paul and I talk almost twice a day. Many wives hate me because I'm always on the phone with, and many husbands if it's a woman dentist. But he kept bugging me, Bob, you need an associate. And what basically put it in my head that I needed one was that my parents, I was born in Iran. My parents came back from a quick visit to Iran with a virus. It wasn't COVID. It wasn't anything they knew. They couldn't walk for a month. And my dad fell on top of my mom and she broke her tailbone. And they are in their 80s. So she was in the hospital for a month. I'm here. They're in San Francisco. So I realized what Paul was telling me is this is an insurance policy that you can take care of your loved ones. Yeah. Or do I close the office if I fall down and break my ankle? What do I do with my staff? They're going to go find jobs elsewhere. So you have to decide why you're hiring the associate. The why is really important for people to understand. You can't assume, oh, I'm going to hire an associate. They're going to build another practice right next to mine. Yeah. That is a selfish way of hiring these young associates. The rule in our office is the associate eats first, I eat second. I'm ready to slow down, so I cannot be hogging, oh, that high production thing comes to me. Yeah. Okay. This is really important for private practices to take care of the young dentist. There's a good saying that, back in Iran, the Ayatollahs are being criticized, but I criticize the Shah for allowing this to happen. And this is what we are doing. If you're complaining about DSOs getting all these associates, treat them better. Yeah. As a private practice. So that's where my philosophy has been. And then Paul keeps annoying you. Dentist Job Connect. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so he's done a great job.
Funny thing is, Dr. Kim, my second associate, applied through Dentist Job Connect, but she doesn't even know who I am. She's not on Facebook. And what she did was she Googled and found Dentist Job Connect and applied for my job, and she got it. So it's a great service. It's an Indeed type thing for dentists. But yeah, it is an important concept that us private practice owners need to understand, that they have $500,000 worth of debt, and you need to help out if you want a good associate to stay with you.
So there's a lot of things. You just bottled up a lot of really good information in a very short amount of time. And I think we could probably spend hours talking about that. But one thing that I will say is, I want to work for you with that attitude. I mean, that's the type of attitude that I'm trying to have in the search that we have, is that I've been on the wrong side of that equation, where there's been an issue as being an associate that you're not treated appropriately. We have a lady that's working for us now on 1 day a week, and we're hopefully going to add more, either more days or have somebody else that comes in and kind of splits that. I love your 2 day. If I could find that, my gosh, it would be perfect. But I want her to be a part of the practice. She can eat first as well. So wonderful lady. But I also want her to do new patient exams. I want her to get to know the patients. I want her to be a part of the practice. One of the things that I fear, though, is that, okay, what if for one reason or another, this doesn't work out and she ends up leaving, or, no matter who it is. And if you're watching, no, that's not a thought in my mind that's going to happen. But I also think that it's important for the you and I's in the world to get in there and make the connection And that not only shows the patient that, hey, we've got you if anything changes in this situation, but also we really support this young dentist that we brought in, and they're going to provide the same level of care that we do.
I actually have a different philosophy on that. It's very difficult. You practice for 30 years all by yourself. You know every single patient. Now I go to the office, there's somebody sitting in the waiting room. I'm like, who is that? I don't know this person, right? So that's something, a mindset that you and I have to come to understand, that there are going to be patients we don't know about. What I'd like to think how to deal with that is we deal with it when it happens.
Yeah.
Let them be their own. What I tell them is that I am a true mentor for you. And the first part of being a true mentor is asking them, do you want my help?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the first. Everybody talks about this mentorship, true mentorship. No, I have every toy, you guys know. I have every toy as far as the technology goes in my office. And a lot of the younger dentists may have not had exposure to that. I jump in and I finish the crown prep if I need to, pack the cord a little bit better and take a better scan out of them, right? So, but my first question is, would you like me to come in?
Yeah.
To make sure the confidence of the young dentist is built rather than I'm always going to be nervous.
And the thing, okay, so I get that too, and I should rephrase that. I don't like walk in and overstep my bounds, but I make sure that I make contact with that patient prior to them leaving the office, whether it's passing in the hallway, just, hey, I'm Dr. Buchanan, just want to welcome you. Glad you're here. No, Dr. Walsh took care of you. Those types of things. Those are the things that I want to do. I just want to make sure that they know that there's another face.
I do that as well.
Yeah.
But you're getting an associate so you can do your other passion projects. You're not going to be there for everyone.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. So those are the practicalities that I've been experiencing.
Yeah.
And it's weird. I'm telling you, because I know you're probably like me. I'm a PPO doc. Everybody's out there. But I provide quality service and quality dentistry at discounted prices. If this wasn't advertising, we have to survive, right? Yeah. But at the same time, it is strange that we have to share. It's kind of like when you first get married, right? Somebody else got a hold of your bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, basically.
I didn't have a bank account when I got married.
Me neither.
It's all right. We started it together,
But that's even more
important. She can have her
important.
hands in the cookie jar as much as she wants. As a matter of fact, she takes more than I do.
There's nothing in there, right?
Yeah, there's nothing in there.
Right.
So,
well, let's talk a little bit about, I've noticed a shift in dentistry in general over the last couple of years of your content being a lot heavier focus on the state of organized dentistry, the state of a lot of legislative projects that are happening, both use loss ratio and medical loss ratios, what we're seeing with compact and licensure portability. I don't know how much you've really talked about mid-level providers and alternative therapists in the workforce. And so first, I want to understand, as I understand your past, not an active or ADA member previous.
I was, but I dropped for a long time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Something changed.
Mm-hmm.
What was that moment, that pivot or tipping point that happened that said, I'm going to re-engage back in organized dentistry because I feel like I need to participate in the process?
So first, let me start by saying...
One thing I would say, because you're not the only one that has left. Like, there was a longtime member and then chose to leave because they felt the ADA, the AGD, whatever, fill in whatever acronym you want to put in, no longer represented their needs and desires.
Right. The first thing I want to start by saying is that we have to, and I put myself in there, be respectful to the volunteer dentists that have dedicated their lives to do what they think is best for dentistry. I may not agree with them. I don't agree with Dr. Brett Kessler on many, many, many issues, right? We have had our differences, but I know he's a good man, right? We have had some back and forths. I have extended an olive branch, but I know he's a good man, and he's trying to do the best he thinks is for the profession. Unfortunately, I don't agree with a lot of things that they're doing, but I am 100% in support of the American Dental Association and one voice. That has to be, everybody who's listening to this need to understand that without the ADA, we have no voice. They're not going to come to us podcasters or Facebook group founders and say, the legislators in DC, hey, what do we do with this? No, they're going to come to the ADA. Now, what changed? I was one of the not very intelligent commentators online. Oh, the ADA's got their hands in the pocket of insurance companies. I'll say it. Some people are say that. That's racketeering. They can go to jail. That's not possible. It's not logical. I know that now. But what changed for me from that to today are 4 words. Morris Gala, Abe Abdul. 2 people in Massachusetts who spearheaded the dental loss ratio approached me and said, we need your help to publicize what we're doing. And I'm like, what are you doing? So many nights I educated myself on the issues and I became passionate about their passion, that this is the most important piece of legislation in our profession, not for you and I to make more money. This is for our patients. The patients have paid the premium and we want the money back for them. So that started it. And just like anything political, it's an onion. You keep peeling and you're like, oh my God, it's just, again, they're trying their best. Our motto is, we don't say that they are bad, they're misguided. And I'm not afraid of saying that. I have meetings with trustees and different organized dentistry people all around the country. And unfortunately, they're getting the wrong advice. They're not seeking advice of the expertise of the people who know. And they disagree with me with that statement even. So that's where we stand.
I love the loss ratio, how that kind of got you.
Yeah, so
energized.
for people who are listening, they don't know what a dental loss ratio is, and it's one of my pet peeves, because if you have volunteered, please, I thanked you for volunteering your time, but if you have volunteered to be a part of organized dentistry, you're not a follower anymore. You are the leader. People who haven't joined are following you. So you need to lead. So if you're telling me you don't know what dental loss ratio is, everybody knows now. But in those early days, we had to go around and educate organized dentistry people, right? It is a set rate, simplifying it, a set ratio, such as 80%, 85%, whatever it is, that insurance companies have to pay towards patient care.
Of the premiums.
Of the premiums.
That they intake. Yeah.
Now, the twist comes in and there is a very good explanation that Dr. Morris Scala just did a speech for the AGD, and it's on my podcast. It's, I think, 30 minutes. Everybody should put it on 1.25 and watch it in 20 minutes. But it talks about, yes, you can have a set percentage, but it depends what they put in the denominator and the numerator of that equation that could become loopholes. So it is important for people of these states that are going through this, ask for help. Contact Dr. Riscala, contact me, and I put them in touch with Dr. Riscala to help them.
Well, and having sat in a meeting with an NCOIL, you can see quite quickly the math just gets reworked. I mean, the loss ratios are simply just an equation, and they threaten or, put forward the concept that you can change it to anything you want. We'll just pull it from somewhere else that you're not going to be happy with either, because the profitability of the company and what we're doing with our money isn't going to change.
None.
And I think that's, I don't know how to combat that, because there are groups like NCOIL that have a tremendous amount of power.
What?
Right.
NCOIL.
NCOIL is
Yeah,
the
I
National
remember that. Yeah,
Council of State Legislators.
Insurance legislators.
Okay.
Correct. So what they're doing is insurance legislators in every state, these are politicians, get together and try to cut the red tape. Unfortunately, sometimes they create more red tape, and we cannot go to a gunfight with a knife.
Yeah.
You need to take experts because they have hundreds of billions of dollars writing on this. So, and that's where.
And that's why we need the ADA and AGD and some of these
Correct.
larger organizations with one voice sort of unified around those concepts. I do think we continue to struggle, though, with the diversity of representation for ADA is really difficult. Number one, ensuring that the leadership actually accurately reflects the dental population, the dentists that are out there performing the work every day in the membership base, as I've seen a lot of variation of that. And the second piece is what's good for Maine is not always good for North Carolina, isn't always what's good for California. And that's an incredible challenge that I recognize the ADA and AGD are managing and sort of trying to find that balance. How do you see that moving forward? Because I know we've talked about California Dental Association wanting to pull out of the tripartite, become their own entity. How do you see that continuing to move forward? And are we making some ground on unification?
You know, for now, we're unified. I just heard California is starting up again. Okay. And I'll get busy again. I helped the ADA basically publicize their efforts that why is it bad to do this? I know a lot of people in California, including those who disagree with me in the CDA, are my good friends, and I'm friendly with them. We disagree on things. As far as the unification goes, I'm going to say something controversial. You can't unify people if you, from the back door, are separating them. You cannot get into an agreement with NCOIL and kill the efforts of Rhode Island when they go to the legislation for the good DLR and they say, no, we're going to go what the NCOIL agreement is, and basically kill their dental loss ratio, and then say, well, we want to unify all the states. Don't give the states excuse to separate. Represent dentists. I was at the House of Delegates. I testified at this reference committee that these language that you're talking about, we represent dentists in all modes of practice. Why do we need to say that? Why can't we say we represent dentists? So when you put the modes of practice there, that means there are somebody pushing an agenda there that you need to make sure you're nice to this mode of practice and that mode of practice. But if we decide that our motto, here's another controversial thing that I don't like within the ADA. We are the promoters of oral health for the world. I don't need that. Let me take care of my patients. You take care of me in Washington, D.C. So these are the things that they don't like me when I talk about it, but I want an organization that represents dentists. Let me take care of my patients.
The one
Did
thing
you apply for the executive director position?
I'm not qualified. I am a loudmouth online, as they put me. But I'm here to bring awareness. I have offered 2 people for the position, and neither of them want this mess. The person who is the interim executive director is an excellent one. And I hope she will apply for the permanent and get it. This lady, Betsy Shapiro, is from the Chicago area. I don't know her. I sent her a message to talk to me. I'm not very well liked by a lot of people.
You think you'll hear back?
I don't think. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm supporting her because people I trust tell me she is excellent.
Good.
So let's take, and I got to tell you, Ray Comia, I consider him a friend, and he'll always be a friend. He was brought in to do a job, and I think he tried to do his best. That was his guilt. Then be it. He did. He was energetic. We needed a jolt, and he brought it. He's a friend. Do I agree with everything he did? A few things that we agree on, the rest of it we don't. But he's not the enemy of the nation. He's a friend.
Yes.
One thing I'll have to say, part of maybe the ADA on the modes of practice has some deviant origin. But what I will tell you, having been around organized dentistry for too long at this point, almost 20 years. They have a PR campaign that they have been cleaning up for a decade and a half because they were all anti-DSO, all anti-corporate models. They only promoted private practice. And so specifically in the AGD, I know they've been much more intentional, at least of using language that's more inclusive of all practice models, simply because for a very long time, they shamed those associate doctors, those younger doctors that were working in group practice, me being one of them. And so they've been really intentional, I think, at least on the AGD side, and I would assume the ADA is similar, to make sure that the language is clear that we do represent dentists. We represent dentists beyond what we previously may have stated was not the mode of practice. And I know in North Carolina in particular, very anti-corporate dentistry, right? And have been for 30, 40 years. They've been on a tirade campaign for a long time. They also alienated a lot of younger doctors that had to pursue those types of practices, to your point, to work in an environment where they can pay their bills. They have $500,000 in debt they have to service. And so they can't only do jobs that serve the desire to not want to have DSOs in the model. I mean, there has to be a practice place for everybody. So I don't know if that has anything to do with their desire to want to use that type of language, but I know my experience with the AGD was they shamed for a very long time, and now they're having to clean up a lot of that PR.
You know, I wasn't privy to that information. I'm glad you educated me. But you can't go from this extreme to this extreme.
Yeah.
I know. And
You
that's
can't
just
make up
it.
for that, right?
Yeah.
So I offered a definition for them to make it so easy,
Yeah.
right? DSO is a made-up word. You guys have heard me say that, right? It is a loophole for the practice ownership in this country.
Right.
There's no such thing as DSO. You can't fire a DSO, right? Should we?
No, you're good.
I'm
Keep
gonna
going.
go.
We probably have 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, private equity is the word. If you're backed by private equity is ruining healthcare. Define. If you're running for office, are you backed by private equity? Sorry, you're a good person, but I'm not going to support you. I'm not going to badmouth you, but I'm not going to support you. We have 2 minutes. I want to talk about the compact,
Yeah, absolutely.
if you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Young dentists and old dentists have always wanted what physicians had. Okay? Portability. License, portability. I want to get up from here and go practice in Florida, right? I'm not going to do it. Nobody does. And we want to do it. We have to plan it for years. But this is our dream, right? From dental school, why do I have to take so many tests? So Department of Defense funded a program for spouses of military people,
Right.
but they gave up on us. They did it through the Congress, and my own associate, my first associate, traveled from 2015 to Texas to North Carolina without needing to apply. Right? There are 2 compacts now. Compact means an agreement. I don't know why they name it compact. An agreement between states. One resembles what the physicians have. One resembles what the barbers have. The American Dental Association today, at the moment, this week, is going state to state, advertising for the one that resembles the barber's compact, which makes it easier for dentists to move without a license. I have a 12-part series of podcasts. They're each 5 to 7 minutes on my YouTube channel, Dentistry in General. Listen to it, call your trustees, and tell them we want a compact that the House of Delegates, the supreme power of the American Dental Association, approves, not one pushed by others that will help the big business of dentistry so they can move dentists fast. We don't move fast. We plan. We just want the option to be able to move. But we don't want them to move dentists across borders very fast, because that's one of the things we do to compete with them. If you help them there, it is no longer a level field of competition. You're giving them a competitive advantage. The House of Delegates needs to approve the compacts the ADA pushes, not leadership, not Board of Trustees. The House of Delegates is the supreme power of the American Dental Association. follow their lead.
So you said you learned a lot. I learned a lot. But I think as we close, I would say that first of all, I appreciate you being here, and I
Of course.
appreciate
Thank you for having me.
everything that you said. But one of the things that I really appreciate that nobody can deny and nobody can be criticized for is your passion.
100%.
And I don't care what side of the fence that you were on, your passion it's electric, it's contagious, and I applaud you for the passion that you have in all of this. I mean, from medical loss ratio to private equity backing to compacts to, I mean, there's a lot that you said that I really appreciate, and
Thank you.
I think I speak for Jennifer.
Absolutely.
So
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
yeah, it was
Of course.
really
Thank you for
wonderful.
having me.
No.
Hopefully we can do this a little bit more on my channel.
That would be
I
great.
hope so. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Goodness.
Take care.